if you are a porn star and you go on those dude bro podcasts for clout, I hope it's fucking worth it to you, because you are part of the problem. You are encouraging the stigma that we face. It is disgusting for what, fake internet followers? It's disgusting.
What percentage of the girls you know do sex work?
Ooh, probably 80% of them.
Do you prefer the term sex worker or content creator? Because not all sex workers are content creators, and not all content creators are sex workers.
Honestly, it depends on the situation that I'm in. If I feel safe about it, I'll say sex worker. If I don't feel safe about it, I'm going to say content creator.
I like sex worker because I wear it as a badge of honor. I feel proud to be a sex worker.
What's the one question you wish every man would ask but never does?
Is this okay? In any context.
What are some of the more unflattering realities to accept when getting into this industry?
Definitely people are going to look at you and talk to you very differently than before, and you kind of just have to be prepared for that extra tough skin that you're going to need for that.
That it's not as easy as you think, and it's not as easy as a lot of other creators or sex workers have made it seem. It's extremely rare to be one of those people that will make even $20,000 a month. It's really challenging. You have to be a content creator, which is editing, taking content, planning content, making a shot list, knowing how to do your makeup, knowing how to interact with people, proper grammar. I mean, there's so many different things that make it challenging.
Is it wrong to kink shame, and aren't most kinks rooted in shame to begin with?
I definitely don't think it's cool to kink shame. I think that you don't need to yuck other people's yum, just because you're not into it. You don't have to participate, but let others have their fun.
Our kinks are usually something we feel makes us a little different than the norm. So yeah, automatically as humans, we feel a little bit of a shame around that. It's different. It's not what the norm goes with. But I don't think a kink should be shamed unless it is hurting another person non-consensually.
Has sexual liberation ultimately benefited society, and if so, how?
I really think that it has, honestly. I think that letting people have the power to make their own decisions about their body and be able to explore the things that they actually really enjoy and find pleasure in, and find doing that in a way that brings others pleasure, is a really cool thing.
Why does our society promote ourselves as sexually liberated, but when it comes to actual sex, we're so puritanical about it?
Certainly. I think that it's one of those things where old habits really die hard, and it's hard to let go of things that we held on to for so long in the past. But as more and more people open their mind, things do change.
Because it's rooted in our desires and in arousal, and those are, of course, sins in most religions. To have desire, to be wanton, and to be aroused. So, my goodness, we have a lot of work to do to rewrite that.
Are cam girls more interested in providing a service, or is it more about the money?
Honestly, I think it's both. For me, personally, I love doing this. This is really fun for me. I find it personally fulfilling, and the money that I make off of it is just kind of a bonus, honestly. I make more money than I was expecting, but even if I had made less, I still would love this.
Why do so many people think that women get into sex work because they have no other career options?
No, they do. I just don't like to wake up early, and I have issues maintaining, I am just going to work and doing mundane things. My brain does not working like that. I'm just glad that I live in a time where I can capitalize off of my sexual laziness. I don't know, because you can call me lazy but I really shine in these things. Like, put me in front of a camera and tell me suck a dick. I'm like, yes, please. I get to be paid for it. Oh my God, thank God I live in a universe that allows that.
There are people who do sex work out of desperation. That's completely fine. There are also people that do it because they love it, or they might be an exhibitionist and tap into a kink in a monetary way, or a way to monetize that. So I forgot the question.
I do love that question because I'm actually college educated. I have a biomedical engineering degree, but I hated the industry. I wanted to do something I enjoyed, and also this had the potential to make me more money, and it does. I'm doing what I love, and I make a lot of money doing it.
Why do male porn stars make more money than female porn stars, and how can we close this gender pay gap?
That is news to me because I thought it was the opposite way around. Well, so males make more?
From my understanding, male porn stars don't make very much at all. On a professional set, I will get a higher rate than my male co-star.
So then why does nobody complain about a gender pay gap when female porn stars make more money than male porn stars?
Because we take on more risk. I mean, like, everyone should be. I'm on birth control. You, like, not to say you should do something with your body that you don't want to do, but like, we can get pregnant. You know, it's more easy for us to get STDs, and we have to face much more of the stigma. So like, I think it's fair that we get a little bit more.
Why do you think that porn is legal but prostitution isn't?
Because America's prudish. I honestly think that, prostitution happens whether or not it is legal, and legalizing it actually makes it a lot safer so that, like, prostitutes, escorts have access to protections, legal protections, healthcare, those kinds of things.
The pimp and pandering and like that type of, and like the sex trafficking. I think if prostitution was legalized, it would be a lot safer for women to do their job.
And regulation around it would save a lot of people, save their lives potentially, save their bodies, save their health. But I think America is just really, really prudish, and so we don't do those kinds of things.
What do you think would happen to the porn industry if prostitution was legalized?
I think it would stay the same, to be honest. I think that the people who want to seek out prostitutes will find them no matter what. And there's people who want to be in the comfort of their own home who are maybe too nervous to touch someone, or maybe that's not within their budget, And so free porn online or, a $10 OnlyFans is way more within their reach.
Which of the following do you think creates more incels? Religion or the high standards of women in the current dating market?
For sure religion, because even though there's a lot of women with high standards, there's a lot of women with low standards.
Everybody has an extremely different preference when it comes to religion, and everybody likes to bring religion into things. So it makes it extremely difficult for things like that, and can cause incel, honestly. I don't think women are that high maintenance, and if you think a woman's that high maintenance, then you need to figure out your standards and things like that in life. But it more so religion, I would say, I've found.
Would OnlyFans be so successful if it wasn't fulfilling a need for men?
That is such a good question. Probably not. But I also think this is part of the reason that fan sites are successful, is that there's a personal aspect to it where you get to connect with person. I think the men are ultimately deprived of emotional connection, and OnlyFans is a great way to talk to someone. I hear people's deepest, darkest secrets, about their sexuality, the things that they hold the most shame over, and I don't know. There's a need for it for many reasons.
So do you believe that men are more starved for sex or starved for intimacy?
They are ultimately starved for intimacy. It's very sad.
Intimacy, absolutely intimacy. I think that they actually seek intimacy through sex most often, even if they don't see it that way. So ultimately, I think what they're after is intimacy and not sex.
Men will never admit to being starved for intimacy, but that's what I believe is happening for them in the sexual realm and in the sexual trance. It's hard to talk about emotions, but it's easy to feel loved and cared for when you're having sex. So that's how you satisfy it without having to admit to needing a little intimacy and compassion in your world.
33% of men are not having sex right now. What are your thoughts on the rise of lonely, sexless men?
Lonely, sexless men. Well, the rise of them, it's a reality. There really is, dare I say, incel culture. Folks are really nervous about sharing themselves, and men specifically, in talking about what they crave outside of just, say, the physicality of sex. This goes back to vulnerability. So I think that the more we make it such a terrifying exchange, the less we're inclined to do it, and that's where we're at.
Everything is online now. We are constantly in our phones and our own spaces. We're constantly getting hits of dopamine, where why would I seek something else when I can get something very quick and immediate. So, yeah.
Do you believe that porn deters men from going out to find real relationships?
I think maybe.
I don't think so. I think it certainly can, in the way that, someone who drinks can drink too much, or someone who smokes can smoke too much. I think that if you're consuming it at a proper level, you're fine. But if not, that's a bigger issue than porn.
It's entertainment, and there's nothing like a human-to-human interaction, be it sexual or not. I don't think that porn, it's not the same thing.
What does porn offer men that they don't get from the current dating scene?
I think that, okay, there might be a reason for this. I think that they have exposure to things that perhaps their partner would not be interested in, and that can be solved with maybe some communication and maybe destigmatization of sex in society.
Do you think it would be harder to remove the stigma on porn for seen as dirty or on men for seen as creepy?
I feel like it would be harder for probably maybe the porn thing be seen as dirty, just because there's so many, there's religions, and then there's just other values and beliefs that people can shove down your throat and make you feel bad about yourself, because everybody gets horny and everybody wants to masturbate, and so that's I feel like that's kind of a universal issue
On men for being creepy.
Why?
Because I think it's something that someone told me this one time, and I thought it was really interesting. If someone's hot and they're hitting on you, it's sweet, but if someone's not attractive to you and they're hitting on you, it's like catcalling and it's bad.
Men are just men, and I mean it does suck that men are seen as creepy, but I think as a woman, I just look at it as you're guilty by association at this point, which is not fair at all. But you just get so many certain creepy interactions with men, it just kind of ruins it for everybody. So it might be harder for the men. I don't know. That's a good question. I think I'm changing my answer. I think it'd be harder for men to not be seen as creepy. That's my final answer.
Why are men who sit around all day playing video games or watching porn seen as less productive than the men who sit around all day watching sports?
I honestly think it's the same thing. When it comes to sports, though, I feel like it's a little bit different, because I feel like watching porn kind of it helps you connect with what you like versus just sports. Sports is just a hobby that you like watching.
That comes down to what has historically been the case and tied to masculinity, sports, men, trucks, beer. Those are things that have been widely accepted in society for a long time. And now we have video games. They're new. We don't know what to do with them yet.
Honestly, I think they're more productive, especially if they're jacking off, That's getting some calories in.
If I see a man spending his entire day behind a screen or in front of a screen, and it's not for anything productive, then I think that's a waste of time, period. It's not sports or porn,
Why do so many people think that the average porn consumer is a stereotypical loser living in his mom's basement?
It's part of the stigma, It doesn't just stigmatize us, it stigmatizes the people who enjoy our content.
People think that the typical porn consumer is a loser living in a basement, because that's how we keep this industry ugly and dangerous, and that's how we keep folks that are involved with it criminal, and we keep them despicable, when in reality we are fucking professionals, and my goodness, these are some of the most brilliant people that are working in the entrepreneurial field today.
Does having multiple sex partners affect someone's ability to pair bond?
I don't think so, because I've had many sex partners, and I have an incredible partner that I'm very, very emotionally close with.
Why do people think that women would be any more affected by this than men are?
More affected by emotional pair bonding? I think that we just we are perceived as the more emotional gender.
That's just classic sexism, I think that men like to have this idea that a woman will just be madly in love with them if they just fuck them one good time, and that's just not reality. We like sex with different people sometimes.
Is a porn convention a celebration of masturbation?
A porn convention is absolutely a celebration of masturbation.
Why is porn and masturbation often frowned upon, including by other men?
I'm not entirely sure. I do think that a lot of it might have to do with some more puritanical religious beliefs that many people hold on to, and it can be really hard to overcome things like that.
It feels gluttonous, I suppose, because it's rooted in that puritanical idea that that's not how we should be spending our time. I root a lot of it in self-care. I love to take time and masturbate because it's part of my self-care. And again, self-care means, there's something I need help with. There's something that I need to tend to. And it might be an emotional thing. And men don't want to confess to having any emotions at all.
Why don't women shame women for using sex toys the same way men shame men for watching porn?
I think that women are just a little more understanding of, we do have wants, desires, and we do like pleasure. And so if we're all doing it, why do we need to shame each other for it?
What is the definition of indecent exposure?
I literally looked that up before I came here. Okay, it is the exposure, and I think that it's defined differently in different areas. The exposure of the nipples on a woman, the genitalia, or the buttocks. It is in a public place where you might have contact with other people. They might be able to see it. It also comes down to intent, and that's where it's the gray area. Did I intend to flash my breasts, or did my bra strap fall and it was an accidental exposure? So,
why is it not considered porn when women expose themselves out in public?
I feel like it could be. I think that porn is defined very widely, so it's subjective.
Because your body isn't porn. My body isn't sexual just being,
If sex isn't conveyed through visual means, why is porn even effective?
I mean, of course, me sucking a dick, that's a sex act. Like that is me using my body for something sexual so that viewers can watch something sexual happen. But your body in itself, women just existing isn't pornography.
I feel sex is kind of conveyed through visual means. I mean...
So then when women walk around in public wearing what might be perceived as lingerie, how is a man's subconscious metabolism supposed to know when the sexual stimulation is real?
Oh, well, this is interesting. I feel like that comes down to desensitization and normalization. And there was a time when an ankle would make a dick hard. So, it comes down to exposure and what you see every day.
Have we ever considered that men might have erectile dysfunction from being teased so often that they become conditioned and confused about when it's okay to become aroused?
Woe is men. Oh no, it's all about your almighty erection. Guys, your erection is very much tied to your mental state. So it goes without saying, ask yourself, are you holding on to any anxieties? Is there something that you're nervous about? Do you feel pressured in some kind of way? What is your mental state when you are in pursuit of perhaps attaining an erection? And when you have an erection and maybe it starts to waver, again, assess both the situation, the environment, and your own minds. Where are you at? You can talk yourself out of an erection, guys. You know that.
When it comes to sex, why is our culture able to clearly define when it's over during climax, but can't seem to define when the sexual act begins? Wouldn't that solve the consent issue?
Ooh, girl. Okay. I think that society at large views sex as over when men reach climax. I think, personally, and this is my opinion, sex continues after that point for both me and my partner or partners. That is when we help each other clean up, when we cuddle after, when we talk about how great it was, or I love that thing that you did, and or you know what, that was something that was a little too rough. Maybe we should try it differently next time. So sex is fluid. It starts when someone makes your coffee for you in the morning and you don't have sex until dinner that night. It's a continuous thing.
Why would a porn star be opposed to sleeping with a guy on a first date? Would they have any more fear of being labeled a slut than their career would label them a slut?
Porn stars, when they approach sex with a civilian, let's say, there's so much that comes into play. a professional in the adult industry is staying up on their testing and has to be very careful and cautious about the interactions that they have, because you're shooting, and when you're shooting you have to show up to set with a test that says negative to all the potential bodily interactions and infections that can happen. So, that's a big thing, is that civilians in the civilian world might not understand that a lot of professionals in this industry, testing and their status of tests matter. And so taking a risk of having an interaction with a civilian who doesn't know their status sometimes isn't worth it.
Why are there OF girls who continuously go on these red pill podcasts to get dunked on?
Oh, it's about the clout. Can I act like I'm actually going to go and hear it? If you are a porn star and you go on those dude bro podcasts for clout, I hope it's fucking worth it to you, because you are part of the problem. You are encouraging the stigma that we face. It is disgusting for what, fake internet followers. It's disgusting.
To all my OF creators, ask yourself, what are these questions about, and what are they trying to get from me? And what does it mean when all they want is the shocking, depraved, dirtiest story that I have? I mean, I'm worried that the culture that's supposed to be so modern is actually bringing us back to the era of the circus tent with the barker out front, who is the podcast host, saying, "Come in, audience, and meet the freaks." Is that helpful or harmful to our industry? Just simmer on that.
I mean, the clout that comes along with it, of course. Of course, they're benefiting, monetarily from all the subscribers that they get, but it's not worth it. I don't think it's worth it.
So aren't these podcasts promoting the very thing they say they're against?
Absolutely. They're platforming these women the same way that these women are platforming them. It's almost like a rage farm, everybody watches and then somebody's going to make money off of it. Both.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I've known girls who have gone on that, and behind the scenes, all these dude bros that, these 14-year-old kids, they're so nice to them and whatever. It's all an act. It's just grifting. It's grifting, and I have no respect for the women that go on there to get dunked on, and then everyone else has to face the stigma because of their actions. It's disgusting.